Hello everybody, welcome to this quick Game Week 36 preview with myself and Ray, where we're going to be discussing obviously what me and Ray are going to be doing with our Game Week 36 team, even though we already know what we're doing. We're doing bench boost, we're bringing in Kevin De Bruyne and Nico Williams, and that's done. So anybody that doesn't want to watch the rest of the video, don't bother, because I'm now going to talk to Ray about Arsenal. Because Ray, you were, morning by the way, you were sending me messages, very emotionally charged messages around Arsenal going into the Champions League. And to be honest with you, I said, save it for a video, and I want you to let rip about your emotions a day after or so, 2 days after now, Arsenal have been removed out of the Champions League, and your disappointment with this season.
Yeah, morning, Steve-Owen. Morning, everyone. At 10:04 a.m. on Friday, yeah? So anyway, I went into the game kind of thinking, look, we're out, in my opinion, and let's just give a good account of ourselves. And, you know, we started the game incredibly. I mean, we could have got 2 goals in the first 10 minutes, and we were literally pressing them in their penalty area. So we were all over them. We had like 65% possession after 15 minutes, Steve-O. And I was sitting there watching it with my dad, an emotional wreck, just thinking, in basically the last decade, I don't see Arsenal getting that last bit of luck that you need, that last bit of fortune. And I can revert it to maybe, 2 seasons ago when we suddenly out of nowhere started to be a title threat. Is we bottled that league when we were 7 points above Man City with 8 games to go.
Can you expand on what you mean about the luck element? Can you just expand on that, please?
Yeah, sure. And I'm going to, by giving a reference, is a couple of years ago, we bottled the league. Saliba got injured and we're suddenly playing holding, and then we completely fell apart. It's all going to lead up to what I'm trying to say. And then last season, we win 14 out of the last 16 Premier League games, Steve-O. Man City won their last 10 games of the season. We lost the league by 2 points. And then this season, we've completely regressed in the league. Been shit in the FA Cup. I don't care about the League Cup. I never have. It's just a cup I don't particularly think is important. Completely fumbled the league, fumbled transfers, and then it was all on the Champions League, right? It was all on the Champions League. We're incredible against Real Madrid, completely against my expectation. I thought we were going to go out. And then I'm watching the game against Paris Saint-Germain, and I'm like, why is it that when it comes to the crunch, when it comes to the clutch period, we're never able to go over the line? And a lot of it can be based on luck, recruitment. It can be whatever tactics it is or whatever. But when I look at our rivals, if you like, is they always find that last moment. They always get that Haaland with that finish, De Bruyne with the through ball, Salah with an incredible moment, Van Dijk with a last-ditch tackle. Is when I'm looking at our contemporaries, and including maybe Barcelona, Madrid. But remember, all these clubs are above us, yeah, because they've won the Champions League. Is I'm like, they always have that moment, that period which turns their way. Why doesn't it happen for Arsenal? And I've been thinking about that for the last 48 hours, or 36 hours, just thinking, why are we never able to cross that line? Why is it that Man United and Tottenham are in a Champions League final, who've combined got over 30 Premier League losses, who are shit teams, but one of them are going to come out with a better season than us? Because in my opinion, it's the third most important club trophy as a fan of a Premier League team. It goes Champions League for me first, then the Premier League, then the Europa League, then the FA Cup if you're in the Europa League, of course. Why is it that these teams always seem... All right, Spurs away for a moment. Why is it for the likes of Man United, who have been awful, are going to likely possibly get 3 trophies in a row? 3 seasons in a row, they're going to win a trophy and can rightfully point the finger at Arsenal.
Can I...
Why? Yeah, please go ahead. Because I can't actually answer the question.
Well, no, I was going to say... Can I play devil's advocate that Ash does on FPL Juice and say this line, which is it potentially because... I'm just kind of listening to what you're saying here with interest, and I'm thinking, is it potentially because you're playing at such a high level in every single competition that actually the reality of the situation is that it's very difficult for you to be competing in 4 competitions and wanting to win every single one, whereas Man United is just, we'll just focus on one. Their intention may not be directly to focus on one, but then they realised during the season, yeah, we're crap in the Premier League. We're not going to win the FA Cup. We're not going to win the Carabao Cup. Shall we just go for the Europa League and they're just throwing all eggs in one basket? Could I be speaking absolute twaddle, or am I onto something there? Because you guys are fighting for everything, mate.
I think you're onto something, and it kind of almost unlocked a thought whilst you were saying that. Is the last decade there's been so much pressure on Arsenal from a media aspect that it is trickled down to the fans and the players, and the fans and the club, that every single time we don't win a game, how much banter do we get on the likes of TalkSport and even like AFTV, you know, all these bollocks outlets, isn't it? It's like, it's absolute desperate. When Arsenal don't win a game, Steve-O, it is the biggest news in the Premier League, isn't it? It really is. It just is, because of, from a social aspect, Arsenal are the most probably watched club from a social aspect in maybe football, let alone in the Premier League. Is there's so much pressure on Arsenal all the time, especially in the last decade. That is probably why it has every single thing we do is ridiculed, either positive or negative, isn't it? Miles Lewis-Skelly does the Haaland celebration. It's on the front news, for fuck's sake. Who cares? You know? The stay humble that Haaland said to Arteta. I don't care. I like it personally. I want a bit of needle. You know, it's all such a big deal that I believe it's trickled down to the players, where maybe I've answered the question. We are so desperate to win that it possibly reverberates that we are not getting that end result at the end of the day. There's a famous saying that I've heard, which I've used, you know, we're always the bridesmaid and never the bride. We're always there or thereabouts at these major events. I mean, I gave you the prom night one the other day, which was quite funny, is we prepare everything, but the moment we want to go on a date, or the moment we want to go on a date to get laid, it does not happen every single time. And I think possibly it's because we put so much pressure on ourselves from every single outlet, fans, media, the club, socials, everything like that, that when it comes to the time to step over the line, we don't do it, Steve-O. And perhaps that's just the kind of team we're going to be. And I think I am unfortunately accepting that we are always going to be at the dance, but we're never going to be prom king.
Yeah, you made a statement to me where you said that if Arsenal go out the Champions League, which they have done, you are not going to watch Arsenal for the rest of the season. Again, I'm just going to do the line. Can you please expand on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I don't want to be hoodwinked with a possible good performance against Liverpool and Newcastle and think, oh, I don't, what we're going to do as a club with Arteta, we're going to portray ourselves as being really unlucky, which, okay, but I'm tired of hearing that shit all the time. I want results. I want us to win shit. I want us to now do it. We're good enough. We're a very good team. I've said that to you for 2 years. We're a very good team. But we need to win the majors now. We need to win one of these major trophies. Having an FA Cup and be like, okay, well, at least we won a trophy. It's not enough for me now. We need to win one of these things. We've put more than enough investment, more than enough time. So, and also, I know that it's just been probably unbelievable the amount of abuse Arsenal are getting. That after this performance and this result, it actually really affected me. So I've, socials, I've got off. On YouTube, I've literally muted the word Arsenal, anything to do with Arsenal, unsubscribe, and think I need to, it's a bit like FPL in a funny way, I need to weed myself off the disappointment and hurt from Arsenal and come back in pre-season where I've got a fresh outlet. So this is my own kind of healing aspect to get away from Arsenal. I don't mind talking about it with a friend, absolutely, but reading shit, reading interviews, looking at all the memes I'm sure we're likely getting, which are pretty brutal. A lot of them are probably rightful. It's we should get this, and a lot of them are probably unfair as well. That I just need to take a break from watching my team, listening about my team, and just like go into pre-season, fresh outlet, hopefully some proper signings, and then look forward to the season, because this season has been overall such a disappointment. We're going to finish second or third. We've got to the semis of the Carabao. We've got to the semis of the Premier League, of Champions League. From an overview, it's actually not the worst season, but it feels that way because of how far we've been in the Premier League, where we haven't been top at all this season, Steve, by the way. We weren't top at all during the season. That it's like we've regressed, in my opinion, and I just need to, cut the chains off for a little bit and then in pre-season get back on it as well.
Yeah, so as you stated, you're not going to be consuming anything to be Arsenal. It's going to be very difficult. Obviously, we're 2 days removed from that particular disappointment, and obviously you're stating here right now in a very passionate speech that you're just not going to consume anything. Do you think you will, a bit like an alcoholic, do you think you'll regress and actually end up watching the game against Liverpool, or are you going to be that headstrong and go, nope, I am not watching the last 3 fixtures? Because, let's get real here, this Champions League positioning is really annoyed me to where you're only 3 points ahead of 4 points because of goal difference. 3 points ahead of Man City. 4 points ahead of Newcastle, Chelsea. This season really could end with you ending up potentially 5th. Potentially, if it gets into their heads where it's like, oh, we're out of everything now. What have we got to play for? Do you think Arsenal/Arteta are going to be professional enough to get through the next few games where it's, I mean, I don't know what the exact maths is, but I'm guessing it's win a minimum of, get a minimum of 4 points in the next 3?
If we beat Southampton, we're through. We'll qualify for the Champions League.
Sorry, I should have said second spot. Would it be 4 points?
Problem. I do not think we're going to finish second. I do not, because we got Liverpool away. They're going to want to put on a show against us, I'm pretty sure. It'll be their first home game since officially being champions after the result. I think Newcastle, we've lost 4 games in a row against them, and we've deserved to lose every one of those 4 games, to be honest with you. I think they're going to be buoyed by the fact that they can top Arsenal as well. And away to Southampton, I think we'll beat them just because they're so shit. And you have to think that we have been in really bad Premier League form. We are performing so badly. I think it's very difficult to just switch it on, in my opinion. I always feel you need to garner some momentum. And that's the kind of team we are. We're kind of like a momentum team. So the game against PSG, I was very surprised how well we actually played in that game. I thought we were excellent and we could have won that game. I just feel like they've been so... This season, I think I said to you earlier in the season, it feels like a burnout season. I think we're so burnt out from the previous 2 years of being so close to winning the Premier League that this could be a season where we're burnt out and we've regressed. And normally you need something, don't you, see, though, like signings. You need something to just G them up. We haven't made any of those signings that could really G up the squad, let alone the fans. That I would be shocked if we got more than 4 points in these 3 games. I'd be absolutely shocked. And to go to your former point was, are you going to be headstrong, or that kind of stuff? Don't get me wrong, I've been really tempted, but I'm not. It's not actually the football match which is going to tempt me. It's the content around it, like the pods I really respect, that I listen to, who give fantastic informed decisions. But I just want to be a baby and be in my corner and be like, no, I don't want to listen to anything. That's in the kind of mood I'm really in. And I think I'll stay that way until the season ends, because when I watch Arsenal play, I'm going to be annoyed and upset, if that makes sense. And I think it's a good decision to just weed off. And as you know, I'm a fan of so many other sports that I'm making sure I keep busy. I'm still listening to YouTube stuff, but it's away from Arsenal completely. And to be honest with you, Steve, when I listen to YouTube or podcasts and stuff like that, Arsenal probably is only 30% of that. So I've amped up the other 70%, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it's quite fascinating looking at all this, because you've had 3 losses in a row against Paris Saint-Germain and Bournemouth. Now, we can debate all we want whether Bournemouth should have had the goal or not. It doesn't matter now. It's happened. You lost. But prior to that, since your last loss prior to all of this, which was against West Ham, which I'd like to, again, talk to me about that, because that for you was when you gave up fighting for the title, that 1-0 loss to West Ham?
That was the one, isn't it? That's when I came to you and I said, Steve, the title's over for me, because we lost that game. Liverpool won theirs. They took an 11-point lead, and I said, you lose at home to West Ham. It's just, West Ham become incredible when they play us at the Emirates. There's 2 wins in a row now. And deserved both, by the way. In my opinion, they deserved to beat us. We were toothless. I remember I was in a museum and that happened, and I was just like, and my nephew, who's a West Ham fan, was trying to call me. I'm like, I ain't picking up the phone. And ever since that game, it's trickled down to the rest of the squad. We haven't performed well at all, and I think we've got 2 wins out of 8 or 9 or something like that. I can't even tell you the stats, but the thing is the games that we haven't won, I don't actually think we've deserved to win either, Steve-O. So we put all our chips into the Champions League. We're not in the final now, so it will take a monumental effort to get 6 points out of the next 3 games, which I think we absolutely need to finish second.
Yeah, just to quickly finish on the Arsenal point of view, which is the fact that between that loss against West Ham and the loss between Paris Saint-Germain, basically all it is a draw followed by a win. It's, you draw against Nottingham Forest, then you win against PSV, then you draw against Man United, draw against PSV, win, draw, win, draw. And then it's just these 3 losses. You run out of steam. And yeah, here we are now, speaking like you said at 10 o'clock in the morning, where you've got a diehard Arsenal fan who is basically saying he's just given up. Given up with
the season's over. The season's over. I can look forward to pre-season. Then I'll be all on it again. All the transfers, all the stupidity.
That beautifully links us into FPL quickly because me and you, we, as you know, as people are fully aware, you are my consultant this specific season. I've just put up on the screen now the transfers that we're going to be doing. This is our bench boost team. For people listening on audio, we've got Henderson in goal, Areola, Vardiol, Trippier, Nico Williams, Nuri. Nico Williams is going to be coming in for Murillo, and I really don't want to be doing that move. And I'm waiting till lastminute.com, which basically is Saturday, to find out whether or not Murillo is going to be playing or not. But based on your voice message you sent me, he pulled up, which is not good news at all. We then got Nuri and Milenkovic, Semenyo and Burmo, Eze, Salah, De Bruyne, Isaac, Cunha and Marmoush. Now the plan was all along to just bring in somebody for Jacob Murphy. We made a decision on De Bruyne and then that would be it. And then we go into game week 37 with 2 free transfers and we'd be loving life. However, as we all know, we can't predict football. We can't predict what happens with particular players. And unfortunately, Murillo's pulled up and we're now having to waste, in my opinion, Ray, a transfer on a Nottingham Forest defender because we are playing this bench boost and we need a full 15 to be playing. Overall, though, we're happy with the team, though, aren't we, Ray?
Yeah, I mean, on Murillo, of course, I've had him in my Telegraph team, and he's been a gem for me. He's my player of my team. He's one of 2 players I haven't transferred out my team.
Can you? I'm going to do a Gary interrupt. Can you do me a favour and tell the audience? Tell the audience what the equivalent of Murillo is in Telegraph for points per game or points per million. If you want to just explain that to the audience, please.
Yeah, so you get a £50 million budget and you pick 11 players and that's it. And you get 40 transfers a season. Murillo's only 2.3 million, Steve-O. He is the 8th most points per million in the game. He is 8th out of all the players. He's been absolutely amazing. And the other player I haven't moved is Henderson. Those are 2 players I've never transferred. Henderson is 2nd after Munoz. So the value in Murillo has been unbelievable. He's only 2.3 million. That is the equivalent. That's probably the equivalent of 4 million in FPL, isn't it? Or well, if we do the actual maths, 4.6 million. But so on that aspect in my team, I am watching out. I mean, it's okay because you can make kickoff up. You can make changes up to kickoff, can't you? So it's different for me. But he's a player I can't take out because I only have 4 transfers left, and I'd rather use them on a Haaland, for example, or see what happens with other assets who could suddenly get hot, as you do. And on Murillo I've been reading up as well, and there's been no real update since 2 days ago. I mean, basically Murillo said in Portuguese that I will be back, and I'm like, well, that doesn't fucking tell me anything. Basically within those words, and even Nuno Espirito Santo said he hurt himself on the hamstring, and I'm just thinking because we have bench boost, unfortunately we're forced him to a corner to make the change. I just think even if he does start, it's like, well, okay, but it's too much of a risk unnecessary. and we got the transfers to use. It's very annoying because all I thought was Murphy to an Elanga. That's what I was thinking in my head. But we're forced into the corner of making those two transfers. Now, I do like the De Bruyne and Nico Williams shout, but I actually thought of possibly Ruben Diaz and Elanga, because then we have the money to possibly bring in Haaland to end the season if we feel like he's going to start. And I kind of wanted your opinion on that, because also if we have an Elanga, we have an attacking asset for that Nottingham Forest game. And there's no doubt Elanga's going to play because Hudson-Odoi is injured. I think he didn't play in the last game as well. And Gibbs-White has just, you said it the other day on your preview, he's fallen off a cliff. Funny enough, I have him in my Telegraph team. He's done nothing since I've had him, and he hasn't looked like doing anything. Whilst Elanga is one of the main outlets, like if we can't go for Wood, and we don't need to, then I feel like we should get in a Nottingham Forest midfielder. And I'm thinking, rather than Nico Williams and De Bruyne, is we go for Elanga and Ruben Diaz. And I kind of wanted your thoughts on that.
I'm literally looking at it right here. So, unfortunately, we can't bring in Haaland. So, for argument's sake, if we were to do the Diaz and Elanga in for Murillo and Murphy, we've only got 11. Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, yeah, that is removing Marmoush. That is only 11.7 in the bank, mate. So, does that mean no matter what, we have to remove Salah? No matter what. If we're looking at bringing in Haaland for the last two fixtures of the season, we need to remove Salah. And I just think this week, for this specific week, I don't see the need to be getting rid of Mamouche. Or more specifically,
I'm not saying this week, I'm saying in 37 or 38 that we want to chase.
I mean, 37 and 38, well, at that point, it's just, I would say, if anything, it would be a case of sacking off Marmoush and Salah. I think that for this specific...
Or De Bruyne and Marmoush, shouldn't it? Oh, it would have to be Salah. Yeah, sorry, I keep forgetting Haaland's so damn expensive.
He's so damn expensive, yeah.
Apologies.
So, we getting rid of Salah for... The thing is, I think what we've done the last several game weeks, having not taken any hits, has worked out brilliantly, mate. Who was it? Was it Andrew or Graham on Patreon that said to us about try not going for taking hits all season, or not taking any hits at all, and you'll just be rewarded with the points? And to be honest, I think it's worked out really well for us, Ray. I really do. And I don't... Look, if we were to find out that Haaland's starting against Southampton, as I keep banging on about, we know for fact that Haaland, if he wasn't injured, we'd all be captaining him full stop. So we've got to take him out of the equation because he was injured, and the fact that a lot of people haven't got Haaland in the team. And we just have to go into this particular game week thinking, well, whatever Marmoush does, he does.
Yeah.
Whatever KDB does, he does. But then, for game week 37 and 38, where of course they'll have played the FA Cup final, then they've got Bournemouth away on... Oh, sorry, it's Bournemouth... it's Bournemouth at home. Oh, wow. It's Bournemouth at home. Salah, I think we can sack off. I think we can sack off because the final two... I mean, he hasn't even been performing over the last several game weeks, really. Understandably, yeah. Since he signed his contract, it's just by pure coincidence he's not been up to the standards of what we expect. There could be 1,000 different reasonings as to why that is the case.
Well, they've won the league, innit? I'm going to go more with winning the league. There's nowhere near as much intensity. Yeah.
So he's got Arsenal at home. If we forget that, then it's Brighton away, Crystal Palace at home. Whereas Haaland has got Bournemouth away, Bournemouth at home, and then he's got, I believe it's Fulham away. And it really is a question, Ray, of do we think that there's more upside to Haaland in Bournemouth and Fulham than there is, and that's after the FA Cup final, to Salah with
And Marmoush.
Brighton and Crystal Palace, or even Mamouche.
I mean, sure. I mean, I definitely think he'll get minutes against Southampton. It's just whether he starts or not, isn't it? Because it's the game before the FA Cup. Because I just feel he'll definitely start the FA Cup because Palace are not going to be a pushover. I've
got them to win it.
I hope so. It'd be absolutely amazing. I'd be so happy for just multiple reasons. But, it'd be phenomenal. But, I feel they need to start Haaland in that game because, yes, Marmoush has done a good job. And, yes, Man City are getting the wins. But they're not clinical, in my opinion. They need that guy to finish off. So I don't feel we bring in Haaland this week simply because we're on the bench boost as well. And, he hasn't played in such a long time. But rather than the Man City aspect with De Bruyne, I do want your opinion on the Forest one, I'm saying, because if we bring in Elanga, he has 3 good offensive fixtures, in my opinion, to end the season. And I wanted your thoughts in rather than going double Forest defence, we bring in an attacker because against Leicester, I could see them getting a few goals. Not necessarily because Forest are this incredible attacking outlet. We know they're a counter-attacking team. But just because Leicester are so bad that I kind of want us to have someone against Leicester offensively.
So it's Leicester at home, West Ham away, which is horrid. And then Chelsea at home, which could be
that'll be an amazing match. That's a Champions League game.
This is the point. That is Champions League qualification game. And it's all down to Nuno, how he wants to set up, because against Leicester, he's going to want to win. We know this. We know that there's the 80% probability that Nottingham Forest are going to beat Leicester. We know this. And so he gets the 3 points there. But West Ham away. West Ham are such a horrible team, Ray, to predict this year. Especially since Potter's taken charge. I mean, listen to this. This is their recent record in win, loss, draw format. In the last 6 fixtures, loss, draw. It's just literally, they just do not win. They're shit. But I don't think they lose by many. In fact, I'm looking at here. The draws were 1-1 against Tottenham, 1-1 against Southampton. And can you guess what the result was against Bournemouth? It was, funny enough, it was 2-2. The losses were a high-scoring loss against Brighton, 3-2 loss. It was once it decides to load up, please, at some point today, load up. Yep, thank you. 2-1 against Liverpool. And then it was 1-0 against Wolves. They're just, for me, West Ham are a team which are so dangerous. Where 1 minute they're getting a nice tasty draw. The next minute they're losing relatively. In fact, looking at it here, they are.
If I may, but then we bench him for that game. I think you're thinking too much about the West Ham game. We're talking about this game week. Elanga at home to Leicester is a super fixture.
Yeah, of course, so, yeah. But who's got the better upside, De Bruyne or Elanga?
Yeah, but we're doing combinations then, aren't we? We're
of
doing
course,
De Bruyne and Nico versus Elanga and Ruben Diaz. And I just feel, will De Bruyne start each one of these next 3 games? I am 50-50 in my thought process if he's going to start every one of these 3 games, which includes the FA Cup, obviously. So that's 4 games, which I feel he'll definitely start. Do we feel he's going to start all these games? It's a lot of money to go on a player where I personally am not confident he'll start every single game.
So, Diaz, you're more confident in starting the next 3. They don't concede anymore. We know this. The Man City, for whatever reason, have decided now to shut up shop. And
they bought their best centre half back, and look how well they're doing. Who knew? No way.
Yeah. So, and that's exactly the point, isn't it? So with Elanga in the team and Diaz in the team, you're saying here that moving forward, we sack off Salah in game week 37 and bringing in Haaland. Now, the thing is that who are we captaining for this game week? Because I was thinking, if we have Kevin De Bruyne, captain him. That's what I'm thinking, Ray.
I mean, who else could there be? I mean, funnily enough, I wouldn't even argue captaining Salah. I think we are so shot that it could be any score this game. Seriously, we could win, or it could be like a 4-4. It could be a 2-1. It could be a 3-0. It could be anything.
I've got it as 3-1 personally.
That I actually think that Salah is a good shout. And in regards to Man City, I have more faith Marmoush will start than De Bruyne. But again, I'm just going by my own feel, Steve-O. Another player I don't actually mind is Mbeumo away to Ipswich.
Well, I'm just about to check on FF Scout. So just for us to, and I do agree with Trigger Lips that when it comes to captaincy, I think pretty much go with the popular polls, and usually FF Scout represent most polls. And yesterday when I checked, the votes between De Bruyne and Mbeumo were so close. I think Mbeumo was winning it by about 30 votes. Okay, it's now changed by 100 votes. So, in fact, it's more like 200 votes between Mbeumo and De Bruyne. Then it's Marmoush, then it's Visser. So, if we're thinking safety with Mbeumo as captaincy, the differential pick then, because we are, for people that give a shit, which they don't, we're chasing at the end of the day, and you're really confident on Salah tearing you apart?
Well, I mean, I've only just brought up the projected points now by Hub. Right now, I brought it up, and they've got Salah top, and then Isak.
How reliable has that been?
Pretty reliable if you look at the safe choices. So normally they'll have Salah, Isak, and actually, Salah and Isak have actually been top quite a lot in the past month or so, just recollecting from memory. And normally they actually both kind of return or do something. I'm looking more at the opposition rather than the actual abilities of the players. I think Arsenal are shot. I think it's going to show. And I think Isak at home to Chelsea, Steve, I think that's a good shout as well. I actually think, for the first time that I can really think, that there are a viable 4 options to captain. And that's Salah, Isak, De Bruyne, Marmoush, so that's 4 as well, and Mbeumo, and maybe even Visser, Steve. I've given so many there. There's 6 there, let alone possibly what Cunha can do. I think there's so many nice variables here that whichever asset we go for, I don't think any of them are like really differential captains in my thought process. But I guess I'm just being boring with Salah, Steve-O, but I'm just looking at where we are and thinking, I don't know if we're really going to put up much of a fight. And I think 3-1 is a very, very good scoreline. That's actually the prediction I've made in Super Brew as well. I've gone 3-1, and I think Salah's going to be involved.
Just quickly, for anybody that doesn't know, Ray's doing exceptionally well in Super Brew. And for whatever reason, FPL Bailey, who was second in the whole world, yeah. I'm now ahead of him. Now, I'm assuming Bailey just has given up. He hasn't played Super Brew. I don't know what's going on, but he's dropped off a cliff. He was second for weeks. We're not talking, he was number 2 in the whole world of Super Brew of 77,000 players. He was number 2, and he just was there for 1 week, and then he dropped off. No, he was there for weeks on end. It was ludicrous, and now all of a sudden he's dropped off a cliff. But point withstanding is that you have been very good with your predictions, and it shows in your overall rank. You're something like 1,000th, 2,000th in the world, roughly. And it's quite an extraordinary feat. And
my first year playing.
Right, okay. It's your first year playing. That's really interesting. Now, me and Ray did say about the fact that the point system is a bit skewed, because it's a bit shitty that, for argument's sake, last week, I predicted a team to win 1-0. and it ended up being 2-0. So I was quite close in that, so it gives you 1.5. But then there were people that were getting 2-1 or something like that. No, it was 1-0 I predicted. And I think it
ended up 2-0 and people went for 2-1 and it was the same score and you and I disagreed.
Yeah, we disagreed, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit...
We disagreed with that. We agreed with each other, but we disagreed that it should be a close 1.5 points of what you get. It shouldn't be, because you were closer because at least one of the teams did not concede, which was the final score in your prediction. Yeah.
That's right, yeah. So in some ways that the league could be a bit skewed. But the point we're standing is that Ray's doing really, really, really well in Super Brew this year. Lino, of course, is top again. Surprise, surprise. But how much weight do you put on your predictions when it comes to fantasy football and helping you make decisions for our team?
A lot. A lot. In the last month, a lot. Because I'm like, well, I've predicted 3-0 to this team, so then I'll go for that team. You know, and so I'm going by, you know, when I look at a fixture, I don't really look at the history of the fixture like you do. I look at the performance of the teams at that any given moment and then make a prediction from there. History has, of course, some weight, absolutely, but I don't use that because I'm like, at that time, there's different form, players were available, but I don't check these things. I'm just going by how I feel the team is playing now. And as you know, I watch a lot of football. Is that when I watch the highlights or watch the games and stuff like that, I'm like, okay, well, Mbuma and Vissa are just absolutely incredible right now. It doesn't matter what team they're playing, then I'm predicting this score. And then when I predict a score, that's when I share with you assets we should possibly bring in and captaincy. And you do the same as well. So we're very much like, I definitely think in the last 2 months, our collaboration of the team has been really good because we've stuck to our strategy. We've stuck to the players and teams we want to bring in, despite a lot of backlash we both got socially, on YouTube comments, on Patreon, and some of the contributors as well. And, you know, to try and be as humble as I can, we've won because we have literally halved our rank since we stuck to our wild card that we did, whatever it was, in game week 30, was it, Sibo? 30, 31? When we did it, and we did it a week early or a week later. Yeah, we did it a week earlier than everyone else. And it's worked out. We've halved our rank completely because we stuck to the plan that you and I discussed for hours, isn't it? And it's, you know, worked brilliantly. And I think if we stick by that, sorry, I'm doing the scenic route here to answering your question, is that my Super Brew predictions have relayed a lot of the options I've done for our team and my team as well, because I feel like, you know, if we're going by our feels and our own personal logic, and normally you and I have a lot of agreement together and a good discussion point, that it's worked well when selecting our assets, and proof's in the pudding. We've literally halved our rank since we did our wildcard.
So going back to the Kevin De Bruyne and Williams or Ruben Diaz and Elanga, you think moving forward, Elanga and Diaz are the better picks for safety of minutes? Yeah.
I've gone safety of minutes over smashing it out of the park, because Nico Williams can actually get returns, can't he?
Well, he
got an assist last week.
Yeah.
He got an assist for the Murillo goal.
Yeah, I've looked at it, the basic stuff. He's the in-form Nottingham Forest defender. Elanga, of him and Morgan's Gibbs-White, he's the slightly better, and I mean by a smidgen.
He's been the less shit version.
Yeah. He is a smidgen slightly better option than Morgan White. But with Hudson-Odoi, as you've just stated, being out, and Kevin De Bruyne's minutes being a bit of a risk, and the fact that we're going to have an attacking option versus Leicester, it's a tough one, isn't it, Ray?
I don't think so. I'm just entertaining the other side, Steve-O. I think Hudson-Odoi being out has actually affected Nottingham Forest's attacks, because Morgan Gibbs-White can't play in this left wing position that Nuno tries to do. He's perfect behind the front man. Yeah, the ideal way is having Chris Wood, two attacking wingers, proper wingers, and having Gibbs-White as the second striker, if that makes sense. The guy making those Lampard late runs, trying to do that. And he was doing that quite a lot. But then since Nuno has fucked around a bit with that left wing. He really has. He at times he hasn't played both Hudson-Odoi and Elanga, and I'm completely against it. There's no real pace outlets from both sides. If anything, it's becoming too predictable to go to Elanga that teams are doubling up on him. So I was entertaining the other side, but gun to my head, I'll probably say De Bruyne and Nico are the right calls. But I was just trying to entertain another side, wanting attacking assets against Leicester. But the more we've conversed about it, the more I'm thinking, look, Elanga's actually not returned properly, while De Bruyne, he's in form, isn't he? After that performance he put in against, I think, Aston Villa, I said, I think De Bruyne is really going to push on for the rest of the season. And he's doing that, isn't he? He's performing very well, so why not bring a player who's performing well?
And he could potentially have his best mate back in Haaland starting against Southampton, which he loves feeding him. I think it's going to end up with playing the safety and De Bruyne and Williams in for those two particular options in Murillo. And it's amazing, isn't it, how one injury has kind of scuppered our plans. Just one bloody injury. Because if Murillo hadn't been injured, my game of attack really was getting rid of Areola, bringing in Sells, have triple up of Nottingham Forest defence, and then bringing in De Bruyne for Jacob Murphy. But unfortunately, as we've discussed,
what we could have done, we could have taken out Jacob Murphy and Semenyo and brought in De Bruyne and Elanga, which is also exciting, and playing that bench boost, couldn't we? Because we can afford that.
I like that fixture though. Semenyo at home to Aston Villa. Whether or not he starts, I think it was tactical more than anything. I think he does play against Aston Villa. I think it's a tasty fixture actually, Ray, against it. I've got it tight. I've got it as 1-1. But the way Aston Villa are away from home at the moment, Bournemouth could look at that and go, do you know what? We need to be winning to try and get into those Europa League places. That could be a really, really tasty fixture in itself. But I think, obviously, me and Ray are going to continue discussing privately. I think once it gets to, 1 o'clock or whatever the time is tomorrow by deadline, me and Ray will have definitely come up with a decision. We'll probably use a spinning wheel as well. Captaincy, Ray, officially, it's and Burma was the real safety pick. De Bruyne is a real nice punty, but Salah, as from your point of view, a huge differential from the so-called engaged managers that will probably be going with Burma or Kevin De Bruyne.
You have to tell me. I really don't know.
Yeah, that is the case then. And Burma and De Bruyne were the ones.
Okay, so again, gun to the head, which isn't a serious thing, obviously, because I use it so willy-nilly. But I would go, if you gave me top three, I'd go Salah, then Mbeumo, then De Bruyne. That would be my three of, if you put the gun to the head. Number 4, Isak. Steve-O, I don't think any of these options we make are bad choice. I actually think this is a real nice open captaincy choice. One thing I will say about Salah and Liverpool, they're not playing with the intensity because they don't need to. But again, I'm looking at who they're playing, and I actually think Arsenal's a really good fixture for Liverpool, simply because I don't think our head's in the right space, which is proven by the prediction you've made. Maybe what we should do is send each other our predictions from those captaincies. Yeah, send each other the predictions, or send each other at least the goals we think are going to be scored by the assets we have.
Well, we can do it now just quickly because I know we're short for time. So I'm going Mbeumo in a 3-1 win against Ipswich, Man City to win 4-0, and Liverpool obviously 3-1.
Yeah, and I've gone Isak. I've gone Newcastle 2-1 against Chelsea.
Oh, I've gone 3-1.
Okay, so can you see all those options? We're expecting goals.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely, of course, continue the conversation. What does the bench look like? Because in a bench boost, I always like the bench to look like what it would be if
it's Semenyo. I'll put it on the screen for people because people will be desperate to look at. I'll put it on the screen what the gotta put it on the screen.
Let's chop it down. what was it? Wait. I wanna disable it. First of all, me and Ray. Yeah, Gary. And also it's Ray, why are you playing? You know what you're doing, blah blah blah. All this consultancy shit. I'm helping out a friend, all right, virgins. I'm helping out a friend.
Are we putting this out on video? Keep that bit in. So
yeah, exactly. Oh, you can't be saying that. No, we're going to record and share this with everyone.
So
But,
the bench is Areola away at Man United. We'll be lucky to get 2 points. Just 2 points, that's it done. I've already accepted the fact that we had 18 points on our bench last week, Ray. So we're not going to get anything like that this week. You just know it. So Areola, 2 points. Semenyo, 2 points. 8 Nuri. We may get an attacking return against 8 Nuri. Let's just give him 5 points. And then Trippier, 2 points. So that's what, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll be lucky to get 11 points,
Trippier, not Milenkovic.
Oh yeah, That's who I'd be benching in the bench. It doesn't really matter, does it? But yeah, double Nottingham Forest defence against Leicester. Of course, that's.
I'd bench Milenkovic with the.
But it doesn't matter, does it? Because they're going to be playing anyway. But either way, I think that we'll be lucky to get anywhere between 11 and 15 points. 15.
Oh, if we get above 10, I'm delighted. That means we got a return.
Would be incredible. I'll tell you what would be incredible is if we were to get 20 plus points with this bench boost. And considering how poorly bench boost has been for a lot of people, this pushes me up in the various mini leagues that I'm in, and obviously in the overall rank section. And yeah, then we got the final 2 games to attack when it comes to our particular team. Other than that,
sorry, if I can add to that, I've said multiple times last season, and obviously when you were kind enough to have me on the Patreon when I spoke about the chips I really don't like, I think bench boost is the worst chip because you're kind of always trying to when you have it, the choices we've made subconsciously, we've always thought about the bench boost, which has probably not helped us at times. I mean, fortunately it has, but I can't help but think every time when we had the bench boost idea of 36, when we thought there might be a double, I can't help but every asset I thought about, I'm like, oh, could he be on a bench boost? Because I don't want us wasting a transfer. And, it's just, sorry, I mean, I just want to share my piece, but it's just a chip that I really think can go to hell.
It's like the assist.
What do you think of this chip?
I don't mind. Compared to assistant manager, I prefer it.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, my God.
I mean, the assistant manager's a joke of the chip. I don't care what people got from it. I think it's just an embarrassment of a chip.
Awful chip.
I think it just needs redesigning. I don't have a problem with the fact that, you can choose a manager, but when it comes to, you've got to take this player out, and then if you can't have this and that, it's just like, just let me just pick a manager I would say just for one game week. Just pick a manager for one game week.
Exactly, and there's no tie to the team, isn't it? If you got 3 Liverpool, you could still bring in Slot. I agree. If it was a one game week thing, I think it would actually be a brilliant chip.
Yeah, and the whole thing of like Trigger Lips was experiencing this. It's the whole thing of, I've got a really good plan. I can't do it because I've got Pep Guardiola in my team, which means I've got to remove him, which cost me a transfer. And it's just so convoluted that it's unnecessary. But yeah, we could be here all day talking about chips. We've got to be slagging someone off in a minute, so we've got to get out of here. Thanks for watching, everybody. Ray, have you got any final quick, tiny little thoughts before I hit stop?
Not at all. Thanks, Steve-O. Good luck, everyone. And you shall see me being Steve-O's consultant for the foreseeable future, so enjoy that.
As Trigger Lip says, like and subscribe.
Bye.